You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast today. I'm Alan Gingrich, Director of Hunting Ops here at United Kennel Club, and I'm joined by Trevor Wade. Welcome, Trevor. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Going to talk Beagles again today. I know you went with us to the Nationals over in Zanesville, Ohio here a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully you had a good time. It was your first Beagle event, right?
First Hunting Beagle event. Yeah, I actually had a real good time. It was nice meeting everybody. You put some faces with names that I hear you talk about or talk to a lot, and it's a great group of guys and gals and a bunch of youngsters out there. I really enjoyed seeing everybody competing. So
yeah. So what would you say? What didn't you expect? You probably had a vision of what you thought might be what a Beagle event might look like, but.
Yeah.
Was it about what you thought or what?
Yeah, it's you mentioned I've been to a Beagle gun dog event, which is way different than anything I'm used to.
Totally different.
This is very comparable to coonhound events. We did a lot of stuff the same way. Obviously, instead of doing it in the afternoon or evening, we were getting up early in the morning and doing it. But taking the entries and getting all the scorecards together was the exact same as what I'm used to and seeing and drawing casts and getting them out there. But there's some long days. We're getting there at 5 o'clock and you're still there till 9:30 at night, and that's some long days.
Yeah, you think a coon hunt is a long day and a long night sometimes, but yeah, you're right. It's these are long days too sometimes. So, but let's get started. Let's talk. We had the Clash of Champions. We've on the last couple of episodes we talked about our coon hunt tournament of champions, and we have a similar event for Beagles. We call it the Clash of Champions. Same concept. These dogs had to get 5 cast wins in the calendar year, which qualifies them for it. And those finals are held on the Thursday before the Hunting Beagle Nationals.
Right.
That's where we run that off, the top 32. But like the coonhounds, we have regions. We only have 4 where they have their choice of what region to go to, and it's prorated. And we take the top 32 out. So let's start by talking about the Clash of Champions a little bit. Now, you weren't there on Thursday for it, but you showed up the next day to help us with putting on the Nationals. But so let's get in talk about the Clash of Champions first. So like I mentioned, the finals were held on Thursday there and the hunters all came into Zanesville to the Muskingum County Fairgrounds where we were site of the Nationals there, and they signed up on Thursday morning, the top 32 and all. But so we drew them from there. And this year we had 148 dogs entered in the zones, or in the regions, we call them. Yeah. In 2022, we had 98, so that's a nice increase this year.
Is that what's that 148 look like compared to the number of dogs qualified?
Well, I think we had right at 170 that were actually qualified,
wow.
So not bad at all.
Wow, so a lot of them that get qualified end up entering.
They do, and you have the same thing, females coming in season,
right.
So it knocks several of those out. Maybe some dogs hurt this or that or whatever. So, but that's not a bad. That's
very good entry.
Yeah, very good actually. So, I'm very pleased. From 98 up to 148 that actually entered in the second year. Really pleased with that. So we had regions, the 4 regions. We had one in Indiana, one in Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and then one out west in Missouri. And a couple of weeks ago, Nicole Sedlecki from UKC here and I. We talked about those regions, the results of those regions. I think it's episode 47. So folks go back and check out that episode. We talk a whole lot about that.
Right.
So you get more information from that. But so going back to these top 32 came to Zanesville on Thursday morning. They were there and we entered. We drew the casts on Thursday morning. And that morning, you talk about getting up early in the morning. Nicole and I had to get up real early because she wanted to go get coffee. She had an order in for coffee and donuts and kalashkis, I think she called it. Kalashkis or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah, I think.
So, and I didn't know what that was. She mentioned it in the episode that she was going to get these, but I guess it's a Southern thing, a Texas thing, I guess. But it's like a breakfast sausage or whatever in kind of like a pig in a blanket or whatever. But so we had all this food or I say food, donuts and coffee for the hunters and everything, and tables set up for them. And honestly, they didn't eat very much. He got coffee, but
a little nervous, maybe?
I think a little nervous. I think that was the case. I was like, Nicole, they didn't eat very many donuts or anything here, but I think that was the case. But nevertheless, after draw out, we sent everybody out to Tri Valley, which is about a half an hour from Zanesville there, and all 8 casts hunted off at Tri Valley. It's a local game area, just outside of Dresden, actually. But so we sent the casts out there, and we had Brian Hartram, Matt Turner, and Dave Hummel. They were out there kind of working with the casts, taking them to spots where, to keep them away from other casts that are running out there. It's a huge, huge area.
Yeah.
So really appreciate they put a lot of time into kind of picking those spots, and they even went as far as kind of naming spots for those. And before we drew casts on cast 1, we put a spot down where they were going to go, so everything was everything was kind of drawn in that manner, so, but they did a great job with getting all the casts out to those spots.
It's a little different format for this one, right? Don't you do your first round with your 8 4-dog casts, and then the next round you actually draw into heads-up casts, right? That's different than what you would normally have.
Yeah. So you have in round 2, you obviously have the 8 cast winners, and here again, they don't need to have plus points to advance, to the next round. Obviously, just like our tournament of champion, we want to advance a dog, but the other thing I want to mention, it was supposed to get hot that day on Thursday. 85 degrees was what they were calling for, and it got up to that. Now, in the morning, it was pretty nice, but come about 11 o'clock, it was up there already in the 80s, and that's warm to run dogs. But Nicole and I ended up going out there after we got the hunters out, had a few other things put together. We grabbed everything, the leftover coffee and donuts, and set all that up out there at Tri Valley, and under a tent, had a tent set up out in like a meeting place, like a parking area is where we did it, and it worked out great. And that's where the hunters, after round 1, they all came back there and convened there to redraw and get some refreshments and everything. And then they really dug into the donuts and the kolaskis there. So that all worked out. And then Nicole also went and got Subway sandwiches and chips and drinks. So we fed everybody that day. Just a great way to do it. So round 2, like you mentioned, we have 8 winners from round 1, and they go out in the heads up, and they just hunted 1 hour there in that heads up round. But that round was tough, just hot.
Yeah.
Hot. And, and
it was directly after round 1. You basically just come back, reconvene a little bit, and head straight back out.
It is. That was probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Most of them were back from the first go around, and going back, or about the time they went out, but it really got hot, and it was tough running, but heads up. Yeah. So, so the heads up, let's talk about that a little bit. So in cast 1, it was those top 8 dogs was Sweet Tea, Josh Ware, Mitch Gould. That was handled by Braden Neely. And let me see here, Drew's Creek's Lady Lula, Adam Banks from West Virginia, Heat 'em Up Superstar, Josh Ware and Cody Rucker. And then Adam Banks had another one in there in the top 8, Drew's Creek's Cold Country May, and that dog's been winning quite a bit here lately. Yeah. So I'm not surprised to see her in there. And then also had Shenango White River Bill, a dog that he's a Hall of Fame dog. He's done a lot of winning. I think we've talked about him before on this podcast.
Got the young handler behind him, right?
He did. He had Raiden Katanka was handling him. He's Jay Moore's grandson.
Yeah, just a young guy.
He is maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. He's not very old.
No, not very.
He handled Bill in the regions in Pennsylvania, and he made the top 32, and he was handling the dog over there. I think if you go to our results from Nationals, I was outside and videotaping a little bit. One of them I posted on Beagles Field, came around to him. He's sitting on the back of a truck box or whatever, and I asked him about his clash dog or whatever, and I asked him what dog he's hunting. He said, Shenango White River Bill.
That's a great video. That's a good one.
He's all business, but so another one was Swamp Masters Trump, Donnie and Eric Gant from up here in Michigan. Then Nate Butler had Lone Ranger in there, a dog he had in last year as well as back. And then Chad Smith he placed second. He was runner-up last year in the clash with a dog named Susie. This year he had Go Bo Go as one of the top dogs. So way they drew out in the second round was White River Bill and the Lula dog drew out. That was that Raiden Katonka, the young boy, and then Michael Banks. Michael is Adam's dad.
Okay.
So Adam having 2 dogs, he had to bring his dad along to handle one of them. So I would say that Dad probably didn't get his pick or whatever. I don't know. Adam handled May and Michael handled Lula here. And then in cast number 2, it was May. Adam Banks and May drew the Trump dog with Eric Ant handling. Cast number 3 had Nate Butler and Ranger, drew Superstar with Jason Vandergriff. And then Braden Neely handled T, Sweet Tea, and Chad Smith had Bo. So that's how they drew out. So, yeah. But in that in this round, like I mentioned, it was just and tough going in this round. But and we're talking about how warm, 85 degrees, and then Saturday, 2 days later, it was barely 45 degrees there at the Nationals. Just crazy.
Yeah, it was a big swing for sure. And
so the way everything turned out, it was Lula ended up winning cast 1 with Michael Banks, and then May ended up winning cast 2 with Adam Banks. Superstar, Jason Vandergriff won their cast up against Ranger, and then Sweet Tea, Braden Neely won that cast. So that made up the final cast.
Yeah.
So Sweet Tea was kind of a big name. Last year we have our Junior National Championship, which is like a lot of places they call them derbies, Derby Championship, and she won the very first Junior National Championship. So a dog under 2 years of age comes back, and she is in the Final 4 of the Clash. Young dog, it's like, wow,
Yeah, making a name for herself quick.
Absolutely. So, so I have the scorecard here, looking at here, but that middle round was tough. But then the towards evening when they went out, I think it was about 3:00 when they went back out. It's still warm. They went to a different spot, but those 4 dogs, and by the way, it was 4 males and 4 females. And the 4 females are the ones, all 4 made the final cast.
I just noticed that. Wow, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah. So, so in the final cast, they scored on, I don't know how many lines they scored here, but a bunch of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 or 6 lines, I guess, that they scored in that final. They were stroking, I guess. I mean, went from really, really tough to having a really good final. I was a little concerned about it. But
yeah.
But in the end, as it turned out, Sweet Tea really put it on them. She scored 695 in an hour.
That's not bad, especially after being your 3rd round of the day, isn't it?
I know, 3rd round of the day, like you said, on a day like that.
Yeah.
695. And so she ended up winning the cast. Second was Lady Lula with Michael Banks, who the dad, he ended up placing runner-up. He had 400 plus there. And Jason Vandergriff and Starr had 3 1/4, so they ended up 3rd. And then 4th was Adam Banks with Cold Country May.
I don't know if you're going to mention it or not, but 6 of the 8 dogs here, all from West Virginia. The other 2 from Michigan.
Yeah,
pretty impressive for the West Virginia crowd.
It is. Yeah, they had. I don't have the breakdown of how the top 32 turned out as far as from states, but yeah, West Virginia's pretty strong.
Well represented.
Yeah, so Sweet Tea, she's the one that gets the biggest part. The purse is $35,000, and it breaks down to first place gets $10,000. So that was Braden Neely with Tea, and then Lula, she took home $5,000. Star for 3rd got $2,500, and then 4th place was $1,500. And then the 4 non-winners in the semifinals, they each got $1,000. So that was the 4 males: Bill, Trump, Ranger, and Bo. And then the other 24 in the first round of non-winners, they each took home $500.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Good start to the weekend for those people.
Yeah, just a good day, and it's a good way to do it out there. Those game lands are so big, and there's a lot of rabbits out there, and good places to run out there. But good way to do it. Just keep them out there.
Yeah,
just warm,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
No houses or roads to deal with. Just get out there and run.
It is. It really was good. So, But I want to take this opportunity and thank everybody that was involved, with all the judges that helped out with this, all the guides, and congratulations to all the owners and handlers and everything, and thank all the owners that got their dogs qualified and are supporting this program. Clayton Stark was there. We use him for some of our other programs as well. The Tournament of Champions, he does that, and he has you go on to Stark Outdoors and you can see all the things. He does such a great job with covering hound sports and going hunting with different dogs and things like that. Go check out his YouTube
good squirrel
page.
Hunting videos. He's got a really broad range of good hunting dog videos, period.
He does. Sure does. But so he was there and he covered the event. He got a lot of footage from that final cast. And I haven't seen it yet, but it should be out now. And at the time that this podcast airs, should be out. So be sure to check that out. We'll obviously have links on. And you can check out all of the winners, photos of the winners and all that on our Beagles of Field Facebook page, as well as our website. So, but we will also, like I said, we'll share Clayton Stark's coverage of it. When that video comes out, we'll share all that stuff. But yeah, again, it was too bad you couldn't be there for that first day of the clash. It was a good one.
I know. That was our travel day, kind of. We got a late start, and like you said, it was almost reaching the 90s in the truck on our thermometer or thermostats. We were getting down there. I was like, my goodness, it's a long day out there for those people with 3 rounds and this stuff. But I'm glad to hear that they held up good and had a really successful hunt that day.
They did, yeah. So we get a lot of questions. How do you qualify for this? And then, like I mentioned, it's 5 cast wins in UKC. Any licensed event, anywhere where you can get a cast win that's in the calendar year. So for next year, you just need to have 5 here in 2023, which will qualify you for the 2024 Clash of Champions. So anybody has any questions, you can go to our website and to the Hunting Beagle page and go to events and programs. And from there, you will see the Clash of Champions logo. Click onto it and it'll give you all the information you need. So one of the things we always kick off the Nationals with is the Thursday night banquet. It's a free dinner that we have for everybody in attendance. And then we also have some awards that we hand out. This year, again, we had a good crowd for it. And the dinner was good. You were there, but you didn't make it in time for the dinner, I guess.
Yeah, we got there. We got checked in the hotel, and then we actually just sat down in a restaurant, and you called, and did you make it down? I said, yeah, we just sat down in this restaurant. I was like, you should have came to the banquet. I said, I didn't know what time it started. I guess I didn't check into that part of it. I wasn't expecting to get to till Friday, but we came over to the fairgrounds, but you guys had just finished the banquet at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I mentioned, the awards, and one of the first things I usually do here at this one is go over all the top reproducers in UKC for the current sires and historical, and then same way with the dams, current and historical.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, and then the First Strike Series, we award those winners. So this year we had our First Strike Series is broke down into 2 different categories. The senior kids, which are 13 to 17. Years of age, and then the 12 and under in the junior division. So we have 3 places for each one. So our winners in 2022 was Brock Butler from Michigan here, and I want to say he's won this award about every year that he's been in it. So he's been like the last 4 or 5 years. So, and then Eli Watson was second. He's from Indiana, and then Achilles Morrison also from Indiana. He and Eli are actually buddies. And Achilles kind of slid in there in that 3rd spot kind of in the last couple months of the race last year. So those were our 3 senior winners. And then our juniors was Braxton Owens from Missouri. You met him there.
Yep.
He's an energetic little guy. And then Raiden Katanka, we mentioned him, Jay Moore's grandson. He finished 2nd. And then another youngster from Missouri, Bentley Little. He was 3rd.
All six of these youngsters were there.
They were all there
over the course of the weekend, and just real respectful, good. You could tell they got a good future, and the program's got a good future with some of the youngsters you have in the program.
Yeah, and you see quite a few of them out there handling dogs.
Absolutely,
there's a good number.
Really encouraging.
Yeah. So then the other thing is we were talking about the Clash of Champions regionals. And each of those 4 regions, we also do recognize a winner and have awards for those regional winners. So we recognize them here at the banquet. And this year in Indiana, the regional winner for Indiana was Nate Butler. In Pennsylvania, region number 2 is Cody Rucker from West Virginia. In the Tennessee region, it was Jeff Stacy from North Carolina won that region. And then out west in Missouri, Mike Roy won that one. And Mike couldn't be there. He's a cattleman, and he's got about 50 head of cattle having babies right now. He said he's got about 30 more to go. So he kind of needed to stay home. But Ryan Mudgett accepted his award. So those folks, there's actually a pretty good prize package for that. They get we have 2 dog boxes and 2 telemetry systems for each one of the 4 regions.
Yeah.
So
I saw Jeff already had on a jacket commemorating the win. It just happened just a couple of weeks before this.
Yeah.
It's a quick turnaround on that.
It was April 1st is when the regions were, so we got the jackets ordered, and they had them here in plenty of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome to get to wear it in front of your peers just right there after the event. Yeah,
so that's one of the things we passed that we handed out to the winners. And so there's like 4 items that we give away, So the first place winner, he obviously gets the jacket, and then there's 2 boxes they can choose from. They had a Owen's dog box, and then also a one from I forget what, the Diamond Deluxe.
Okay.
So they have a choice of that. The first 2 placements have a choice of that, and then the 3rd and 4th place in each region they get the telemetry system or whatever's left.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big deal there. And then the NHBA, they also have do their awards here if they have any. So President Alan Newby did that, and this year they recognized 2 Hall of Fame inductees, which are deceased members, and this year they recognized Mr. Coy Stacy, who's Jeff Stacy's dad. He was a staple in this program since day one, basically, and everybody knew. Say everybody, the younger folks may not, but Coy was he was a good old guy and always good to be around, just a dog man, So,
yeah, absolutely.
So his wife was there. You saw her. I think she was celebrating her 77th birthday.
Yep.
She came out for it. Yeah, Saturday. I think
very good to see her there.
Yeah. And then the other deceased member, they recognized as Mr. James Jarrett. James is a fellow that he passed away about a year ago, so that was very unexpected. Just another good guy, so they recognized. So yeah, that was the Thursday night awards banquet.
While we're there talking about the NHBA, obviously all of the Beaglers that are listening to this are going to know or be well versed in the NHBA. But real quick, for any of the coon hunters or squirrel hunters or anybody in any other associations, what a great association that was. It's the first time I've really been around on the National Hunting Beagle Association, I assume it's called.
It is, yes.
They had a great setup. They had great advertisement up. There was always somebody at the table to help. There was a lot of people at the table throughout the course of the weekend. I know they do a lot throughout the year as far as fundraising go. Their NHBA days is a big hit. They always have great prize packages there. And for any associations that may be wondering on ways to raise money or to get involvement from your membership, maybe a decent place to start as far as calling them and having a conversation and see what they're doing to kind of drum up some different things. They seem like they'd be a good resource because they really have it going on there.
Well, that's a good observation. I know I've told you before that they do a great job with it, and you got to see it firsthand, and they have all those items. They're doing raffles all the time and great items too, and the folks are getting behind them, but that's what allows them to have so many nice awards. And, they have their own NHBA sectional series and their youth series. They have that too, and they just give some outstanding awards. Not just that, they also do at the World Hunt each year. They give out 10 awards for 10 drawings or what have you, and they're huge prizes.
Yeah,
10th is like a couple of Garmin systems or what have you. That's how big 10th is.
Yeah,
first is I don't know, cash and a lot of other things. They just do a great job of it.
I bet if you were to ask them, just the membership being involved is such a big part of that raising money. You have to have all hands on deck in order to raise money to be able to provide prizes and opportunities for your membership. It's got to be more than just a handful of people doing the legwork.
It is, absolutely is. And one thing they're so good at, I feel like, is they're kind of careful in how they select their directors and make sure they've got directors in every part of the country that is able to be at some of their sectionals, and they do drawings there at these sectionals and doing fundraisers and raising money. all kinds of door prizes and stuff like that. NHBA is as solid as any organization out there.
Yeah. And it would be a good resource for any associations out there looking for some answers. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the hunt a little bit. The Nationals is set up where it's a little different. You used to always enter dogs in advance, but we've changed that. This is now the second year we've changed it up a little bit, and it's kind of neat and it's really working well. So we have a morning hunt on Friday and then an evening hunt. So an AM and a PM hunt on Friday, and then the same thing on Saturday. And you enter in advance, but you don't actually enter a dog. You get a reservation for hunt number 1, hunt number 2, or AM and PM Friday, and you do the same thing on Saturday. But we max it out or limit it to 120 reservations or spots, what we call them, I guess, per hunt. So you'll want to get those. You get that on our website, and then you just enter whatever dog you want to hunt in whatever category. Mm-hmm. And it works out pretty well. Now, you can hunt the same dog in any one or any 2 of the 4 available hunts. You decide which one of those 4, mix it up.
Yeah.
So we have the 3 categories: open, register, champs, and grands. And then the 4th one is the pup hunt. We also have a pup hunt. We call it the Junior National Championship. We mentioned Sweet Tea won it last year. So this was the second year for that. Now, the only thing is, the pups, if you're entered in the pup hunt, you have to, you only have Friday for that, not Saturday. But other than that, so it's a little different. You saw how it is different. You're used to coonhound events, big coonhound events, so it's a little different.
Hey, I kind of, it's obviously the biggest difference there is you're not entering dogs. You're just, again, you're reserving your entry, and I liked it. You kind of take out the aspect of having to change dogs from category to category, mm-hmm. or owner to owner, or this female came in here, this dog got injured. And it made for a real smooth entry process. We have a pretty good system in place, I think, as far as taking entries. Basically just had to come up with their entry information and their measurements, and we're able to enter them pretty quick there. Yeah. And the lines were flowing pretty quick, and I think it went really well.
Yeah, you and Jenna, your wife, came down to help us with that, and specifically to do those entries, so they could come up to you guys and didn't have to fill out an entry slip or anything, have their their UKC number for the dog, and you got them entered, and it's pretty easy peasy.
It was. I think it went really smooth, and I bet they appreciate not having to write out entry slips all weekend. So it worked out pretty well.
See, last year we did have them write out their entry slips, and for when it comes to pulling out dogs and everything, some of the handwriting's kind of hard to write or to read, I guess. And this pulls it directly from our system as their dog is registered. So you know how to run that system. That's another reason I wanted you to be out there. You're very familiar with it. Worked flawlessly.
Yeah, I think it went really well.
And the other thing I always look at, we always talk about it up here, we know how it works. If we make a mistake on our end, on the front end of it, it will show up, and in 4 hunts, after each category, I always ask, anybody not been called, how many times did a hand go up all weekend in 4 hunts?
Yeah, that's always the most nerve-wracking question. If you don't see many hands, you feel really good about yourself.
Not one time. That means you didn't you didn't make one mistake. For some reason, we had one guy enter his dog twice somehow, but that was the only little glitch we had.
Yeah. No, I think, and that's good. The hunters, handlers are doing a good job too of making sure they got in the right category, because that could sometimes cause for some issues pretty quick. But it was good. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing, and that makes for an easy hunt.
Yeah. So I mentioned we have 120 spots that we allow for each hunt. And we sold out. Fridays AM and PM hunts were sold out. Saturdays morning hunt was sold out. I think we had 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah, I think you said 6.
Yeah. So I think somebody took one of those. So,
that's correct.
So we ended up hunting, over 450, 60 entries all weekend for the Nationals. Yeah. Then we also have the jackpots. They're kind of fun. Somebody can enter if they want to enter a jackpot, they can do that for $10. And then if you're a cast winner, we put you in a drawing. If that dog's handler was in the jackpot, and then we do pull 4 of them out and split whatever money was in there, pay it all out. That's kind of a fun little deal.
Yeah, it's kind of fun ribbing with them a little bit as they're entering, trying to get them to get in the jackpot. Obviously, all the money gets paid out, so you're not losing any money there at all. So, but then, I probably ain't gonna win, but I guess I'll donate, and then they end up winning $150 some bucks, and you're like, worked out pretty well for you just to win a cast.
Well, that or somebody didn't enter it, and then they won their cast, and then the next time they do pay it, and then it's kind of funny.
It's a fun little game. It adds just intrigue to the hunt, and it gives you a little more skin in the game. Why not if you're there?
Yeah. We don't keep any of it. We just put it all out. So yeah. So let's. So Saturday we have the bench show. And so let's talk about that a little bit. This year we had Amy McDonald. She's from Wooster, Ohio. Used to live out in Oklahoma. Used to work at United Kennel Club years ago. Very, very well versed on conformation choice. I think we've used her before, but a good number of years she judged the show. So yeah, she came out, and you're familiar with her.
Yeah, obviously she did the seminar before. You have it on your list here to talk about, but I was all ears on that too, because she's such a wealth of knowledge, and the way that she can put things into terms that people understand, and it just makes sense. Why am I judging like this? What makes sense for me as a handler to make sure I do? And honestly, I was impressed. Sometimes you can get into where the person's talking and the crowd may start having conversations elsewhere. The crowd was really attentive to her, and they were paying attention to what she was saying.
Yeah.
And that just shows that she had some really good information that she was sharing.
Yeah, she did, and I think if folks were listening, they could learn a great deal from it.
Absolutely.
Just how to present a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the simplest things, some things that if handlers don't know, they just don't know, but if you're judging, one thing that gets me sometimes if I'm judging and I'm watching a dog gate and they have their dog, the handler is between me and the dog, I can't see the dog what I want to see. It's little things like that sometimes they just don't even really think about that much until it's, but those are all things that good handlers do,
Exactly.
Not, always keep the dog between you and the judge and a lot of other things, it's just some. So you mentioned we had one new thing that we had that I wanted her to do the seminar for was this year we added a youth handler showmanship class. So this class had really nothing to do with the dog. It was for kids 17 and under that were entered in the show, in the licensed portion of the show. So after that show, we had this showmanship class. It's kind of a 4-H thing, I guess, if you will, and we split it up in 2 categories, the seniors and the juniors. So again, 12 and under, and then the 13 to 17 age class. And it, like I said, it had nothing really to do with their dog, but how they presented their dog to the judge. And that's why I wanted her to put on that seminar, and kind of let the kids know what she'd be looking for.
Yeah. Kind of what I liked about it is there were no kids that sat it out. Every kid that was there in attendance entered that showmanship show and was out there competing. And I was impressed by that. Nobody thought to sit it out and sit on the sideline or be embarrassed to do it or anything. They were out there and they enjoyed themselves.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's something that we can continue to do, and hopefully these kids learn some things here and just do their homework at home. It's important that their dogs gate. And just I think we saw it. When the regular show started, one of the first dogs coming there, the concrete is kind of slick.
Right.
And one thing that good handlers will do, they will practice with their dogs a little bit, get them used to that environment a little bit long before the show starts.
Oh yeah.
So it's just things like that are huge.
Absolutely. Got to put them in situations and get them used to those things well before the show starts.
Yeah. So after the regular show, which you can go onto our Facebook pages and our website, see all those winners, and ultimately the overall or the national grand champion, just like we have for the coonhounds that you're familiar with at Autumn Oaks, we award the national grand title to the class of grand champions in the show and in the hunt, and we do the same thing here at the Beagle Nationals. Yep. So the grand class is the one that kind of gets all the honors. Now, we do have an overall in the show too, and that's the NHPA does a trophy for the overall is what they do.
Brought the category winners back to compete.
Bring the category winners back. But yeah, it's kind of like you're used to seeing at Autumn Oaks. All the marbles kind of goes in the grand class a little bit and to award that degree. So the winner there was was Angie Vandergriff with the Molly dog.
Yeah,
nice little dog.
Nice dog
for sure. So after that is when we had the kids showmanship class. And in the senior division, we had Julia Wild, Emmett Whipke, Achilles Morrison, Eli Watson, Izzy Note, Brogan, Sampson, Coy, Jarrett, Connor Mead were in the senior class.
Yeah.
And that's a good number of kids there. I was surprised there were that many, so very pleased to see that. And we had a nice trophy for this class and also $100 for each division.
Well, there you go.
Or I guess it wasn't $100. I think it was a $100 gift card to Cabela's. So yeah, they in the end it was Brogan Sampson, Roy Sampson's daughter from West Virginia, was the winner in the senior division. Congratulations to Brogan.
Absolutely, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know the one thing that the judge the judge mentioned in this class that Brogan did better than anybody else was paying attention to what the judge was doing or where the judge was.
Right.
And if the judge is looking at her dog, or and always watching the judge and making sure her dog is presentable when the judge is looking at her. So
sometimes in a tight division like this, it comes down to the smallest little subtleties. So you got to be paying attention. Is a big deal when you're in the ring.
Yeah. So congratulations to Brogan. Good job. And really all the kids did a great job there. They really did. And then in the juniors, the 12 and under, Raiden Katonka, mentioned him, Braxton Owens, Bentley Little, Connor Blevins. Connor Blevins was one in the regular show. He had a nice dog that was won about every class he put her in there, and you saw that dog, and the judge really liked his dog.
Yeah.
Now just well put up, and he didn't have it all cleaned up, clipped up and all this and that, but I think kind of got his attention a little bit. She really liked his dog. He did a great job. Harley Swagger the fourth, Lily Wallace. Lily Wallace was one of the first ones in the ring. Remember her? And had a nice little dog named Peanut. And her dad didn't know if she was going to show or not, but she practiced a little before the show, and she was comfortable.
She did a great job.
Great job. Sure did. And had that little dog looking good and paid attention to the judge. She did a nice job. She's going to be good at it if she continues to do this. But in the end, it was Braxton Owens from Missouri that ended up being selected as the junior winner, and he's an excellent little handler.
Yeah, he is. That was fun to watch.
His mom shows a lot, and he's learned a lot, and he's putting his knowledge to good use, and it paid off. So, but yeah, again, I want to congratulate all those kids and for participating, and to the winners there. And then, like I mentioned, the NHBA's award for the overall did in fact go to Connor Blevins with the lady dog that we just talked about. So, also want to thank Amy for judging the show and putting on the seminar and everything. Congrats to all the winners there. So, but let's segue over to let's talk a little bit about the pup hunt. This year, we had the second year for this junior national championship, had a solid entry this year and more entries than ever before. Last year, it was a big hit, and we saw that with increasing pup entries this year.
Really strong entry, both rounds on Friday.
Yeah, you took the entries for it. Those were the biggest classes by far on Friday. Twice as large, twice as many casts as any other category on Friday.
Right. Well, you had Kristen Bundy and a couple of the gals taking entries for it over to the side for the junior, and their line was pretty long over there. They were getting a lot of traffic over there, and it showed. I think they hunted almost 120 dogs over the two rounds. Is that right?
They did, yeah.
Over 60 dogs a round, I think.
Yeah, they sure did. And so that one is a little different. We do take the top 16 in the registered champs and grands, top 16 in each category that go into a championship on Sunday after the 4 hunts, but in the pup hunt, we've only done the top 4 instead of 16. So after Friday, we already knew who those top 4 were, and they were, I've got the scorecard here, and those 4 dogs that ended up being in there this year was Daniel Brown with a dog called Nothing Fancy Lunatic, White Trash, a dog owned by Brian Hartram that was handled by Mark Irwin from local there. And then Heat 'em Up Black Widow, they call her Natty, that is owned by Mitch Gould and Jason Vandergrift. And then a dog named Stylish Woe Nelly, Tom Ingram, owned and handled that dog. And these, we had 4 double cast winners in the pup hunt. And those were the 4 that ended up getting in. So
well, that worked perfect then.
Worked perfectly, yeah. So while we're talking about this, they went out in the championship on Sunday morning, and just the 1 round instead of 2 because there's only 4. And they had a good hunt too. And in the end, it was Heat 'em Up Black Widow with Jason Vandergriff and Mitch Gould, the owners, that won the pup hunt. So
Very
congratulations to them. They call her Natty, and she is sired by Country Lane Hydro is the sire, and the dam is Big Meadows Country Lane Blackie. So congratulations to Jason and Mitch Gould on the Junior National Championship with Natty. So if it's any indication of what happened to last year's junior, well, I came back and won the clash. So we'll see what Natty can do, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. So congratulations to them.
Alan, we both had Dogtra Pathfinder 2s now for a little while. What do you think about yours?
I'm liking mine. One of the things, I had the opportunity to now download a map of an area where I did not have service, and I've used it there, and it has worked flawlessly. I love it.
Yeah, I love the crystal clear maps. I love that I never lose reception on my dog's collars anymore. Highly recommended by me as well.
Dogtra Pathfinder 2, the official GPS collar of UKC. All right, Trevor, so let's talk about some of the dogs that made it to the championship. Let's cover some of these finalists in the final cast. So we had 16 dogs that we took from each of the 3 categories, registered, champs, and grands.
Right.
And started with double cast winners were considered first, and then followed by single high-scoring dogs. The dogs, the other neat thing that I like about this that we started last year for the first time, we have all the game lands around there that we have access to use for the Nationals. So it kind of worked out. Instead of sending casts out to private spots or whatever, and their casts all come back in and redraw and go back out, we just send all 16 in one category to this area, and the champs to this area, and then the grands over here. And it has worked out. They just stay out there. They have a meeting spot. The cast winners come back to that meeting spot and regroup and go back out. And they stay out there till everything's done. The 2 rounds are done. It has worked out awesome.
Yeah, I like how you guys did that, and I know this weekend in particular, this weekend of the Nationals in particular, that was the opening weekend for turkey season.
Saturday was, I think.
Yeah, and you think about being out there on public land. There's probably a bunch of hunters out there, and the guys you had in that area did a great job of getting these beagles in the right territories to be able to get after some rabbits, and shout out to all the guides and the coordinators for putting together a quality running.
Yeah, and even then, like you mentioned, even with the turkey season coming in, they did a great job kind of working around all that and having places. So registered, we sent to Tri-Valley, which is the same place we had the Clash Dogs on Thursday. Dave Hummel we had him set up, and he did a great job. They're getting all the casts out there. And then we sent the field reps. Brian Mudgett served as the hunt director out there. And so he went out with the cast to the meeting spot and everything. So registered went to Tri-Valley. And champs went to the Cumberland, Ohio, to the AEP grounds over there. Ron and Dale Sailings. Now that's about 40 minutes, from there. But Ron and Dale, they're brothers. They're very familiar. They live right there. They drove over to Zanesville Sunday morning. You probably saw them there just to make sure they get all their group over there. Forecast is what it is.
Right.
But I appreciate that
Absolutely.
They drove over just to make sure, just makes it easier for all the hunters, and find their way over there. Then we also had Kurt Driggs from the area to help Ron and Dale get those forecasts into the spots over there at Cumberland. And then Kevin Weaver, one of our field reps, he was the hunt director there. Then the Grands, they went to the Salt Fork game area. And Trevor and Corey McQueen kind of spearheaded all that and had places set up for that. Alan Newby was the hunt director over there. So appreciate all of those guide coordinators helping those different categories out there. So in the Grands cast, or let's start with the registered actually. So as it turned out, we had A&P Tazewell, Nathan Adams from West Virginia, Ruger's Dead Ringer, Brian Hartram from there in Ohio, right local there. Halfway Cash's Moneymaker, Stephanie Brown, and A&P Burton Gustard, Nathan Adams again, had 2 dogs in the final cast for registered. And Stephanie Brown is from Indiana. So I don't know if you heard me mention or not when we called them out from the grounds that morning, that she kind of hurt herself the day before. And she had busted her back, and she had several folks with her from Indiana, but nobody knew her dog.
Right.
So she wanted somebody to go with her to handle her dog, but just didn't think she could even get around at all. So one of the biggest things with moving around in a field trial or in a Beagle trial here is to score lines. It's kind of simulated like a real rabbit hunt.
Right.
The dogs jump a rabbit, they take it out, circle it around, bring it back. The shooter stays where they jumped it, and that's probably where the rabbit's going to come back to. Well, this is kind of the same thing. That's where you mark your line, and you score dogs on line as they come through first, second, third, fourth. So when they're looking for this rabbit coming back, they spread out a little bit when the dogs are coming back, the handlers do, and whatever handler sees the rabbit, they call line. You probably saw the shirts there.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
Right.
Part of the scoring procedure in these events. But that's about the only part of when somebody calls line, you got to have majority over there at that spot to score the dogs. Otherwise, you can't score the dogs. So that's the part where you might have to run over there as quick as you can to make sure you got majority. Well, just in Stephanie's case, if she can't make it over there, somebody, you don't have majority there, that kind of messes it up for everybody. Nobody gets to score.
Right.
So we have this thing, and the reason I bring it up is we have this thing called inactive handler. So, and it works great for, maybe it's kind of designed for older gentlemen, maybe, or older handlers that just can't move around very well. So they can declare to be an inactive handler. And what that means is when it comes to scoring lines, they don't have to be there. So in a 4-dog cast with 1 inactive handler, that majority now is 2.
Okay. I got you.
So they are not hindering the cast. So that's why she declared inactive to be inactive, and actually had I think it was her daughter went with her to actually physically handle the dog, catch the dog, and turn it loose for her, because I could tell she was hurting.
Right.
But,
yeah. Good option.
Yeah. So she goes out and wins the first cast with Moneymaker, her dog Moneymaker. So,
yeah. And
is in the final cast. But yeah, so as it turned out here, take a look at the scorecard here. As it turned out, they had it was that Gustard dog of Nathan Adams ended up placing first, scored 195. He placed first. The ringer dog of Brian Hartram's ended up second. Third was the Stephanie Brown that we were just talking about with Halfway Cash's Moneymaker. And placing fourth was the Tazwell dog of Nathan Adams. 2 dogs in the finals placed first and fourth. So,
nice. Yep.
So congratulations to them. A&P Burton Gustard was a single registered dog that we don't have the sire and dam listed for him, but congratulations again to Nathan. He's from Barbersville, West Virginia. He won the registered.
Very impressive weekend.
Yep. Congratulations to him having 2 dogs there in the final. So move on to the champions finals. We had the 4 dogs in that was Heat 'em Up Gus, Josh Ware, and Mitch Gould. Straight ball and new school Joe Cool, Roderick Mosley from Missouri. Now here's kind of a cool story here. Roderick's wife, forget what right now. Tammy. I apologize, but Tammy, this was the first time she'd ever handled a dog.
No kidding.
And she got, I think, 2 cast wins on Joe Cool.
She did.
And that's what got him into the top 16. Windsor cast she just got the 1 cast win. But then she won her first round on Sunday morning here in the championship and gets Joe Cool in the final 4.
Not a bad start.
No, that's pretty awesome. So she was tickled, So, and then we had Drews Creek Lady Lula, which we mentioned about a dog that was in the Clash finals. Adam Banks and Mike Banks there. And then another one that we talked about was Heat 'em Up Sweet Tea, who won the Clash. Yep. She is in this cast. And here we talk about a dog, Sweet Tea. Look at her. She was in 3 rounds on Thursday in the Clash, wins the Clash, comes back. She is a double cast winner, wins 2 rounds, Friday, Saturday, or whatever, between those 4 hunts. She won her 2 casts there, comes back in the finals on Sunday and wins the first one. And fell just short there in the final cast. So what a junior national championship this year. Wins the class, comes back in, and is in the final cast of the champion division at the nationals.
Sounds like she's the right kind.
Oh man, I'm telling you, that's for the breeders of that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Nevertheless, Gus is the one that ended up winning the cast with a score of 385 plus. Second was the new school Joe Cool. With Tammy Mosley. Third was Lady Lula. And then fourth was Sweet Tea ended up fourth. But nevertheless, good showing. But yeah, Gus, congratulations to Josh Ware, Cody Rucker, Mitch Gould on the win with Gus. It was Mitch that came out. He wasn't actually at the Nationals until Sunday morning. Which those guys, they had several dogs in and they needed some more handlers. So Mitch and I think Derek Bowen came out to handle a couple of them. And Mitch ended up winning the cast here. But Gus is a 2020 model. He's sired by Logan Elm Black Butcher and is off of Grand Hunting Beagle Champion 3 Heat 'em Up Hailstorm. And that mama there, I've seen her go a bunch, and she is a good, solid female.
Yeah.
So Gus, he gets it honestly. So congratulations to them. They won the champion division. So the grand division, that's always just like we were talking about Autumn Oaks for coonhounds. A lot of emphasis is put on that. There's a degree to win in this category, and it's a big deal. And all the best grands in the country come out to it. And as it were, we had the 3 dogs that were in it was the T&T's 3MC Chief, Trevor and Corey McQueen. Heat 'em Up Superstar. We mentioned her from the Clash. Right. Went quite a ways there in the Clash. And then actually, was it the Clash or the Pup Hunt? Clash, I guess it was. Yeah. And then JJ Emerald Blue, a dog owned by Joe Merritt from Indiana, was in the World Finals in 2021, I guess it was, in Ohio. Joe Merritt there. And D'Agostino's Cold Winter Breeze. Breeze has been doing a lot of winning here lately with Owen D'Agostine. And so she made it in the final cast. And according to the scorecard here, it looks like, as it were, it was a close one. 100 plus, 2 dogs with 150 plus, and the winner had 170 plus in that final cast. So as it ended up, 4th place was Owen D'Agostine with Breeze. And 3rd was Joe Merritt with Blue. 2nd, the runner-up was Heat 'em Up Superstar. Derek Bowen handled that dog for Josh Ware and Cody Rucker. Ended up 2nd. And the winner was T&T's 3MC Chief, Trevor Corey McQueen, handled by Trevor. And I think you and I did a podcast maybe several months ago or a month or 2 ago. We were talking about the Hall of Fame dogs. Right. Yep. And Chief was one of those. Yep. Well, Chief won the World Hunt in 2018, I believe it was. He's just won everything there is to win. And he's one of the 4 current Hall of Fame dogs, just basically any event there is to win. And I think in the last episode that Nicole and I did, episode 47, I mentioned Trevor said that the Clash is going to be his last go. And he was in the top 32 of the Clash. He didn't get out around number 1 there at the finals, but Trevor said that was going to be it for him. But here he had an entry that he didn't have a dog, and the only dog he had that he could put in it was Chief. So he's going to put him in the Nationals one last time, and look at him. He ends up winning it.
I don't know if he has room for another title on this line here. It's going to be a 2-line dog here now.
Yeah, so he'll add another line to it. And, Performance Champion, World Hunting Beagle Champion, Grand Hunting Beagle Champion, Hall of Fame. So add this national grand champion, and what an accomplishment!
What a career!
It's crazy, and congratulations to Trevor and Corey on that. Chief was a 2014 model, sired by T&T's Cooperstown, and his mother is 3MC Chloe. But that dog has just done so much, and it's good to see an old dog like him go out like this. It's,
right?
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, the highest of high note there.
Yeah. So, well, that said, I think let's wrap this thing up.
You had talked about a lot of the pedigrees there. Did you have the pedgree for the dog who won the clash?
Yeah. That was Sweet Tea. We didn't have that earlier, but yeah, Sweet Tea is the clash winner, the $10,000 winner. Braden Neely had handled her. And like I mentioned, she was the junior national champion winner last year, came back, wins the class. She is sired by Big Meadow's Black Eagle, and her mother is also a good one. She won some of the junior series back in the day and ended up also winning the national grand title at the Nationals, and that is Grand Hunting Beagle champion Shenango Heat 'em Up Princess.
Very nice.
Is her mother. So that dog has produced a lot of good offspring. Sweet Tea is one of those. So again, congratulations to Mitch Gould and Braden Neely with that big win there. Yep. So, but yeah, that said, I want to thank everybody who supported the clash and came to the Nationals, and it was good to have you there helping this year again as well. So hope Jenna enjoyed it as well.
She was invested on the way home. She was looking on the forums to see who had won the rounds there on Sunday. So she was fully invested.
Yeah. So. Yeah, check out all the photos of the winners on Beagles Afield, and you can go onto our website as well and see how everyone placed again. But congratulations again, and that kind of wraps up the spring season for our Hunting Beagle format. There'll be more events and everything, obviously, but there's some state championships still coming up. But as far as the first 3 of the Big 5 are now in the record books, but congratulations to everyone. Thanks for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss out on new episodes.